Hey everyone, James here from TDB, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. And I'm going to make a brew while I am talking a little bit about why I brought this tea on. So this tea was generously sent to me by Colin. Thank you, Colin. And it's a tea where I had a couple sessions worth, and so I tried it once, and I quite liked it. I thought it was pretty good, and so I wanted to bring it onto the show, but alas, it has not quite made it on, so I apologize, Colin, for not emailing you sooner. I think this tea is pretty good. Spoilers, but it's but yeah, I wanted to kind of give it its fair highlight on the show as something. And so this tea is a little bit of an unusual tea to bring on for TDB, as well as one to bring on to an in-between-isode, because, you know, these shows and stuff like that are really shaped by the creators. So in this case, what I choose to bring onto the show. And I tend to want to highlight and cover teas that I do enjoy on the show. And so you're going to tend to eventually develop certain preferences and stuff like that. So I've been drinking Pu'erh for, I don't know, 8 years, something like that. And so you certainly have kind of your own regional or just specific profiles that you tend to gravitate towards. So for instance, when it comes to factory tea, I tend to like Mengku Tea Factory stuff and a little bit less Mengku stuff. I tend to like Yiwu area teas, and that's one of the few areas I'm okay drinking when it's on the younger end. As opposed to something that's, northern or Boulong or something like that. So, but one reason, but I will try anything, and that's a reason why I did accept Colin's generous offer to send this cake, or a sample of this cake, 2006 Mengku Rongshi Ninchang Expo set. It's a kilo cake, so he sent me, I think, about 10 grams of this. So having, 1% of the cake here. And there's a reason why I would try it and give it a fair shot. It's because there are often standouts and exceptions to those rules. And we can put these things into separate boxes and kind of stereotype whether you'll like it or you won't. But oftentimes there are teas that will defy those expectations and just be a little bit different or better than you might expect. And so, for instance, last year I brought on 2 Mengku teas from Emilio. Those teas were okay, but I thought they were kind of average as far as stuff goes, and very much not to my liking as far as that goes. And this tea, while it is, I think, a little bit better than your average Mengku tea, still definitely tastes like a northern tea. And that comes, with its own set of profile and different baggage and stuff like that. So, sorry for all the rambling. Let's get into the tea. Let's see how it is. So I did a couple steeps just before hitting record to make sure that I still do and like this. And it has a very, very Mengku northern nose to it. Very fruity, very sweet. I do think in terms of aromatics, these sorts of northern teas might be a little bit more immediately appealing to drinkers, especially newer drinkers too. In terms of profile, I think one reason why I might like this more is the darkness to it. It really has this like strong dark fruitiness to it as well. One thing also worth noting too is while it is very sweet and you get that up front, it very much still is Pu'erh and sort of does have that sort of bitter accompaniment. I'm going to try to bring that out a little bit more on this next steep. So I'm going to reboil that water, maybe let it hang out for a second or two more on the brewing. So very sweet, tastes very similar to that aroma just in terms of profile, so dark fruit. Kind of nice on a summer day like the one I am drinking this. Alright. Got big chunky leaves. And we will brew. So as far as like kind of having that Hongcha-ness to it, I do think this tea still kind of has that sort of like Hongcha like sweetness that you do get from a number of Mengku teas. Fruit, maybe a little bit of florals to this. Overall, I'd say the aroma is pretty nice and definitely pretty active. Some teas, they won't have much of an aroma after a certain point. This one still definitely does. Yeah, so I guess this tea is 16 years old. I'm also a fan of the storage of this. I think it's moved it very much into kind of that direction. I really don't like it when, I think this one reason why I don't like the Linchong teas, especially when they're young, like that really grassy, greener profile that they tend to be. I much prefer something like an Iwu when it's very young. So when you sort of dealing with like very green profile. So another reason I don't tend to gravitate towards those teas. But my guess is this would have had something like a Guangzhou or perhaps Taiwanese storage, just considering it comes across as fairly aged, brewing a dark orange, light red sort of deal. Cheers. Yeah, so definitely has like a light to medium bitterness running through it, which I think for me is pretty necessary to enjoy the tea. Just because, I don't know, I'm not a big Hongcha guy, so if we're just dealing with sweetness and stuff like that, I think I'd rather drink something like a Hongcha. Another good question for this tea is, will it improve and smooth out? And for that, I don't really know. I'd anticipate it might smooth out that bitterness and astringency over time a bit, but the tea is already decently dark. It's not particularly earthy, which I think is one interesting thing with these Mengku teas. Is they don't necessarily get that like very heavy earthiness that other teas will have. In fact, the flavor is quite sort of bright, but also kind of like that dark fruit. So bright for the color that it's brewing out too. So sort of an interesting dichotomy there in the profile. And yeah, overall, I would say I quite enjoy this tea. So thank you, Colin, for sending this over. I will be enjoying the rest of this sample throughout the rest of the day. I'm going to give this tea a 5.8 rating, which is about what I give a lot of Monghai Tea Factory teas in the age. It's possible that my rating would change for this tea, go up or go down, depending on how it does age. I have a lot less idea how something like this is going to age than a Monghai Tea Factory tea, which is a profile that I just drink a lot more and I'm more familiar with, and I feel like I kind of do have a decent grasp of what direction those are going to go. So, but yeah, something to watch out for, and just keep your eye out for kind of standout productions like this. I did poke around a little bit to see where this is available. I didn't necessarily see it in a quick Google search. So, the Mengku Rongshi Linchong Expo set. I will say one other exception is to my kind of anti-Mengku, anti-Linchong stance too, is a 2004 Mengku Rongshi that I do quite enjoy. That I was just reminded of when having this one. And that one actually does have a little bit of an earthier profile too. So it's important not to fully kind of buy into your prejudices and stereotypes before kind of judging the tea. So thank you again, Colin, and I will see you all next time. Cheers.